This has been, I think, the most transparent political congressional investigation.
Mr. Speaker, you know, the reason mysteries are called whodunits is because they start with a crime and then you have to try to figure out who did it. The Biden impeachment investigation isn't a whodunit. It's a what is it?
Got him. We fucking got him.
Well, it's been an eventful day in Washington already. You had Hunter Biden responding to Republicans asking, "Where's Hunter?" with a resounding,
"Speak of the devil, and he shall appear."
I am here to testify at a public hearing today to answer any of the committee's legitimate questions. Republicans do not want an open process where Americans can see their tactics, expose their baseless inquiry, or hear what I have to say.
which Jim Jordan wasn't too happy about. I mean, if there's one person who knows about dodging subpoenas, it's a man who has failed to show up to answer his subpoena and deposition in connection with trying to overturn the 2020 election. 550 days and counting.
People in for an interview behind closed doors where you can get those facts. And then, as the chairman said, we'd love for them to come public. We'll see what their excuse is then. They should have been here today, but once we take that vote, we expect him to come in for his interview, for his deposition. And frankly, we'll also, I think, look at contempt proceedings as we move forward.
Mr. Attorney General, my colleague just said that you should be held in contempt of Congress. And that is quite rich, because the guy who's leaving the hearing room right now, Mr. Jordan, is about 500 days into evading his subpoena. About 500 days.
I mean, he's ignored it that blatantly, you'd think it was a sexual abuse case at his old college. But amidst the back and forth today, the headline was stolen by Meidas' mighty favourite Jamie Raskin.
Mr. Speaker, you know, the reason mysteries are called whodunits is because they start with a crime and then you have to try to figure out who did it. The Biden impeachment investigation isn't a whodunit, it's a what is it? It's like an Agatha Christie novel where the mystery is what's the crime? And that gets very tedious very fast. After 11 months of this, no one can tell us what President Biden's crime was, much less where it happened, when it happened, what the motive was, who the perpetrators were, or who the victims were. Maybe the funniest thing I've ever seen in Congress was yesterday in the Rules Committee when Congressman Neguse kept asking Congressman Reschenthaler what the crime was, and Reschenthaler, who's not on the Oversight Committee and is apparently just waking up to the joke, kept saying he didn't know what it was, but that's why we need an impeachment investigation to find out. And Neguse kept asking him, but what will the impeachment investigation be looking for? And finally, Reschenthaler said, a high crime or misdemeanor, and Neguse said, yes, but which one? Now, Neguse, of course, was involved in a real impeachment investigation of a real presidential offense, the incitement of a violent political insurrection against this Congress, against the Vice President of the United States, against the Constitution, and against the election of 2020. We did not need Sherlock Holmes in a magnifying glass to find the presidential crime with Donald Trump. It came right into this House and smashed us in the face. Now, it's true Chairman Comer has collected a mountain of evidence over the last 11 months, tens of thousands of pages of documents, dozens of hours of interviews with government officials, but all of it clearly shows that Joe Biden committed no crime. Even their own witnesses that they called to the only public hearing they had said there is not remotely enough evidence to justify impeachment.
He said that his father was not financially involved in any way with his business. Do you accept that?
I'm going to take the same position I've taken since 2019, that all I can say is there's some indication, but I have no evidence of it.
Sorry, can you repeat that slowly?
I have no evidence of it, and I'm going to just follow the facts where they are.
No evidence, you say?
And the facts haven't taken me to that point where I can say that the president's guilty of anything.
And this is coming from the man who's been leading Senate Republicans' Hunter Biden investigation for 4 years. And yet still he admits that they have nothing. It's almost like it's been nothing to do with any wrongdoing and more to do with, what did you say again, Jim?
And then, of course, there's you know this other issue of whether Joe Biden was involved in his son's business dealing that I think the American people are looking at as well. So I think all that together is why you see the numbers where they're at.
Thankfully, there were a few Democrats nearby to offer some perspective.
This impeachment is a continuation of the insurrection that came here on January 6th. This gang has never accepted Joe Biden as the president. And the architect of the idea that you could overturn the election is the current Speaker of the House. And then Donald Trump sent that violent mob here. It didn't work, and so now we're here, where they're going to try and use this House to overturn the election through this inquiry. The problem is they have zero evidence. The only crime is that Joe Biden blew out Donald Trump in the 2020 election. And that's a problem because this place is the largest law firm in D.C. with these lawyers working on behalf of just one client, Donald Trump, at the expense of everything else that matters. But I want to give James Comer some credit because after 50,000 pages of depositions and secret hearings and closed hearings, I think if we give him enough time, he's going to prove that Hunter Biden.
They assembled in the halls like the Blue Wing Avengers and laid bare the only facts that we're sure of. There is no crime, there's just peril clutching.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So we are about to begin the impeachment inquiry debate. And my Republican colleagues are going to show you how important it is to them. They're going to show you how much evidence they have supposedly uncovered. They're going to show you how serious of an issue they think this is. And you want to know why? Because as soon as we take this vote today, you know what they're going to do? They're going to break for 3 weeks. They're going to run out of this place and leave for 3 weeks, even though it's so important. And it's so overwhelming. And it is, the nation must be focused on this, that they are going to run away and leave Washington for 3 weeks. It's because there's no evidence on Joe Biden. The only thing they have uncovered is that Joe Biden is the father of Hunter Biden. That's it.
Mr. Speaker, I should remind the gentleman that Hunter Biden was here today. He wants to testify in public. But Republicans said no because they wanted to do it behind closed doors so they can go on Fox News and cherry pick facts and figures and distort the truth. Mr. Speaker, Republicans aren't interested in transparency in this investigation, and apparently the Rules Committee isn't either. In our markup yesterday, Democrats offered 9 amendments. They were all voted down by Republicans, but in the official Rules Committee report, contrary to years of committee practice and tradition, the majority left out descriptions of those amendments. So instead of reading, for example, that Republicans defeated an amendment to add, quote, open and transparent to investigative proceedings, members of the public will only see that Republicans voted down, quote, amendment number 4. Instead of defeating an amendment requiring committees to hold an open hearing as part of the investigation, the record will show that the majority simply voted down, quote, amendment number 5. Republicans are literally hiding Democratic amendments about transparency. You cannot make this stuff up.
Thanks so much for watching. We're only a few subscribers short of 2 million subs. Please subscribe right now to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel for free and help us grow this unapologetically pro-democracy network.